Hi everyone, it's Mr. Pursuti here from the Guidance Office at Georgetown High School. I'm here to present some key information to families, students, and parents about applying to post-secondary opportunities after high school, so post-secondary pathways. All the information that I have here for the presentation is available on the guidance website, so I'll just show you how to navigate to find this information yourself for later reference. So if you're on the Georgetown main homepage here, click on the guidance tab and scroll down to post-secondary planning. That's where all these resources will be. I'm going to talk about two key resources today. That is the What's Next slideshow presentation, and then also the post-secondary applications timeline. The post-secondary applications timeline, I'll just talk about quickly. It is the very important document for anyone that will be applying to university or college. It has every date that we are aware of, at least in the guidance office, in terms of full disclosure, when you need to drop courses by, if you don't want them on your transcript, when information is sent from us to the application services, when the application deadlines are, when you can expect a response from an institution, college, or university. All the dates are listed on here, both for college and for university. If you scroll a little bit down, we have some links for virtual tours, fairs, and exploration. Obviously, lots of institutions, college and universities, are switching to more virtual promotions instead of in-person tours, information sessions, and fairs. So we have linked all the digital links that we are aware of, at least for tours and for information sessions. And then there's some information about financial aid and scholarships here as well that you can look at. All of this information on this page is what we know as of today. If there are any changes, we will reflect them on this timeline. So if OUAC or OCAS does change any dates, or schools change anything that is essential for you to know, we will reflect it here. So this is a live document. I'll just close this off now and then pull up the slideshow that we're actually going to go over today. It is called What's Next? Getting to Your Initial Destination After High School. It is the initial destination because we know that many students do change their pathways after they do attend post-secondary. They may start in university and end up in college, or vice versa. Start in college, finish a college degree or diploma program, and then end up in university afterwards. This information has been compiled by the guidance counselors here. My name is Mr. Pursuti, and I am the guidance counselor for students with surnames N to Z. I have two other partners here in the guidance office, Mr. Goodlet, who's currently on leave, and we have Ms. Struzzi here for Mr. Goodlet for the remainder of Quadmester 1. They are responsible for the students with surnames A to G, and then we have Ms. Tin, who is responsible for students with last names H to M. This is the agenda for the presentation. We're going to go over terminology all the way down to frequently asked questions. I have about 5 key questions that we always seem to get asked in the by students who are applying to post-secondary. We're going to talk about apprenticeship, workplace applications, college, university, what happens if you don't get admission. All that is going to be in this presentation. I'll just remind you of the important document. It is linked right here. So if you are in this document live yourself, you can click the image here or click the hyperlink to get linked back to that comprehensive list of dates for college and university timeline. That's something that we strongly suggest that you bookmark that Google document so that you can access it regularly throughout the academic year. In terms of terminology, there are some key terms that we'll be discussing in this presentation, so it's good to know those before we even start. If you are in a college program that is under 4 semesters, so under 2 years in length, typically a 1-year program, that would be a college certificate, whereas a diploma would be the completion of 4 semesters or 2 years of college. Advanced diplomas are about 6 semesters or 3 years of college, but there are also bachelor's degrees, which are credentials that are earned upon the completion of a college or a university program. Most people tend to think of a bachelor's degree as a university program, but there are many, many colleges that are offering very high quality bachelor's degrees, and you'll see those on the Ontario College's website, but they would also have similar admission requirements to university bachelor degrees. So general requirements for university is 6 for U and M courses. That would be the same for college programs, of bachelor's programs, I should say. even though it is a college program. Joint collaborative programs are about 4 or 5 year programs where a student earns credentials from a college and a university. So one that comes to mind would be the Mohawk and McMaster nursing program. So students would be both a student at Mohawk and McMaster. An undergraduate student is a student that's in their first program of study at college or uni. And a graduate student is someone who's working towards their second or an advanced program, such as a master's degree. And then there are post-entry and post-grad programs, typically university, where you would complete some undergrad first, some graduate work, and then you would have to apply to this post-entry, post-graduate program like law, pharmacy, medicine, doctorate programs, etc. So there are graduation requirements to earn your OSSD. You will need 30 credits, 18 of which are compulsories. 3 of those compulsories do have some options in them, at least. They are called the group requirements. And then there are 12 electives that round out the 30 required credits that students need for their Ontario Secondary School diploma. There has always been 40 community service hours that were required for graduation. However, there has been a change of that very, very recently. In October of 2020, the Ministry of Education did revise the community involvement hours graduation requirement, specifically only for those students that were graduating in February or June of 2021. And they changed that from 40 community service hours to 20 community service hours are now required only for those cohorts of graduates, those graduating in February or June 2021. It will then go back to 40 hours for those students who graduate in subsequent years. There is also the provincial literacy requirement that's required for the secondary school diploma. That is completed through the OSSLT, the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test, or the OLC course, the Ontario Literacy Course. When you access information this year, it's going to certainly be a lot different than it ever was before. There are way more virtual open houses and virtual information and chat sessions offered by colleges and universities, even apprenticeship programs as well at colleges. There is a comprehensive list of all the virtual links that we are aware of as of today for colleges, universities, and apprenticeships. If you click this link right here, we have also linked that on the timelines document as well, so you can access that. And then on November 4th to 5th, 2020, there is the Ontario College Virtual Fair at ontariocollegefair.ca. That is typically an in-person event down in Toronto, but obviously this year they're changing to virtual. So you can attend that on your own from home. The Ontario Universities Fair that typically happens in September has been cancelled. Any electronic resources we have listed here. My Blueprint is an excellent resource, myblueprint.ca/Halton. Students would log in with their Halton login and ID, and they'll see all the history of their credits, their marks, what kind of pathways they would be eligible to apply to based on the courses that they have planned for this school year and based on their credit history. There are excellent resources for all pathways, college, university, workplace, etc., on haltonpathways.ca. For apprenticeships, you should check out apprenticesearch.com, college, ontariocolleges.ca. We also suggest that you check the specific program website for each program that you're interested in at college and university. So those would be specific to the institution itself. For university research, you should be going to Ontario University's info.ca. And where you will apply for university is a different website. That is the OUAC, the Ontario Universities Application Center. More on these websites as I get through the presentation. So if you're going to be applying to apprenticeship and workplace, in terms of requirements, there are no strict deadlines really when you apply to apprenticeships. So in your grade 12 year, you can do a traditional route, but really the earlier you can secure an apprenticeship, the earlier you can start earning and learning and completing the training hours that are required for your apprenticeship. What is an apprenticeship? Really, it's a way of learning a skilled trade from an experienced person, typically the tradesperson called a journey person. An apprenticeship qualifies people for employment in those skilled trades, and 85 to 90% of the training actually takes place in the workplace as opposed to a classroom. The length of an apprenticeship is generally around 2 to 5 years. By about 5 years from now, we're expecting that there's a skilled labor shortage of about 1.2 million, and that 40% of all jobs will be in the skilled trades. And we're thinking about half of the current workforce will be eligible to retire in the next 5 years. So there's definitely going to be a lot of movement in the skilled trades, and apprenticeships are a great opportunity for you to earn experience and also certifications. There are really 4 kind of key ways that you can become an apprentice and how to actually achieve an apprenticeship. The first one would be through our co-op education program here at a school, and you can start that in an apprenticeable trade in high school. You could actually sign up for a pre-apprenticeship program at a college itself. You could do a pre-apprenticeship program at a high school, which would be the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, OYAP. We have a number of OYAP programs here at Georgetown District. Or you could do perhaps the more traditional, more common route that most people are at least are aware of, and that would just be to find an employer who's willing to train you and take you on as an employee and then train you as an apprentice. You would then have to sign a registered training agreement, an RTA, to start that apprenticeship. The process is to register first, and then you would have to do 3 components, which is the schooling, the actual training, and then the hours of work. You would then get a certificate that you have completed that apprenticeship. You would have to write the final exam to then be qualified as an apprentice and then complete the apprenticeship. If you're interested in applying to any apprenticeships, these websites are all linkable from this website directly. So we strongly suggest that you check these out, particularly the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program that we offer here at Georgetown District. If you're heading directly into the workplace, there really are no strict deadlines to enter the workplace directly after school. But of course, the earlier that you can secure a position, the earlier that you can start earning and learning and getting on the job training. If you are interested in going directly into the workplace, VPI Employment Working Solutions is kind of a Youth Job Connect program. They're really, really great at helping youth connect to jobs and careers in the community. And there's also temp agencies like Express Employment Professionals that would help you find that initial workplace. For either workplace or apprenticeships, it's really important for you to beat everyone else to the jobs that there are out there. So if you could help yourself by starting earlier, starting sooner, and try to secure that position before you graduate, that would be best, so that you can secure yourself a spot in either an apprenticeship or in the workplace. If you're interested in applying to college, I'm going to go over some of the information and requirements in order to apply to college. You are going to do all of this, both research and apply, only on one website, and that is OntarioColleges.ca. When you get to OntarioColleges.ca, this is the homepage that you see on the screen here. Click Programs in the top right, and that's where you will research any college program that's available in the province of Ontario. You can search by institution, by type of credential. You can search by keyword, by faculty of interest, by subject matter that you're interested in, and you can refine your searches through many, many different search results and search filters. When you're ready to apply, you'll then go back to the homepage and click the Apply Now button, but that is all comprehensive on one website, OntarioColleges.ca. In order to apply to college, you need 2 numbers. You need your Ontario education number, and you need a credit card number. The OEN number is something that you can find on any official report card or any official documentation from the school that should have your OEN on it. And then you will need a credit card number in order to process the application and charge for them to charge the fee. This year's fee is $95, and you will get 5 program choices for 5 different college programs. However, no more than 3 programs could be at any one institution. The school board and Georgetown will send your transcript automatically to the Ontario College Application Service, OCAS, on your behalf multiple times throughout the year. That's listed on the timelines document that I was referring to earlier, but you will be able to see that information as well on your end. So it's always important that you check your account for the accuracy of this information. When you go to apply, you need to create your account at OntarioColleges.ca. You need to apply on that website, and you need to press submit before the deadline, which is February 1st, 2021. In order to apply to college, you need an Ontario Secondary School diploma. That includes ENG 4C, grade 12 college level English for any diploma or advanced diploma programs. We talked about those earlier. Or I should say, you need English 4U, which is grade 12 university level English for any college degree programs. In addition to those, prerequisites such as grade 11 and 12 high school courses may be listed on the specific program's website. Those would all be completely specific to the program of study that you are looking at each school. Meeting the mark cutoffs that they suggest, either to you on their websites or in communication you have with them, meeting those cutoff requirements doesn't always do the trick. You often have to exceed those admission requirements to get an offer. The mark cutoff is really meant as a benchmark for admission consideration, not for a guaranteed admission. Sometimes when you apply to college programs, there will be additional things that you need to submit after applying, such as portfolios. You need to complete an audition or a resume, do an interview, or some additional or supplementary information forms. As I mentioned earlier, you really need to check the prerequisites that each program at each school have listed for their particular program and those cutoffs, because they absolutely will vary between college programs at different colleges. So it's really important that you check those things. College timelines, the link there that I have with the yellow arrow is a link back to that timeline document. So that's the comprehensive list, but general snapshot is October 2020, the college application is open. You can go ahead and apply once you feel comfortable enough to apply. So you would have to do your research ahead of time and know what 5 programs you're going to apply to. On November 20th, all of your student information, such as any final quadmester 1 grades, your e-learning midterms if you are in an e-learning course right now in semester 1, and any previously completed grade 11 and any previously completed grade 12 final course grade will be sent to OCAS, as well as a list of all the courses that you are scheduled to be in for this upcoming school year. So on the 20th, all the information we have on file is sent to OCAS, the Ontario College Application Service. February 1st is the latest date to submit your application for equal consideration. We strongly suggest that students apply over the winter holiday so that that is taken care of before the end of quadmester 2 comes around. February 1st is not only the date that you have to apply by for equal consideration, but it's also the earliest date that you could get an offer of admission to be sent to you as a qualified candidate. So that should be the first day that you start to hear, or could potentially at least start to hear, your admissions. June 1st would be the earliest date that a college would expect payment. That could be a deposit for tuition fees to secure your spot in that program. So those are just a snapshot of some general application, but the comprehensive list is the timelines document I mentioned earlier. In terms of university application information and requirements, there are 2 different websites. I had mentioned OntarioColleges.ca for college is where you would research and apply. That is not the case for university. For universities, you will do your research on the Ontario Universities Info website, ontariouniversitiesinfo.ca. You will then go and apply on the OUAC website, the Ontario Universities Application Center. So there's 2 distinct websites that you have to think about when you're applying to university. So the Ontario Universities Info.ca is where you'll do your research. Here's the homepage here. I'd suggest you start by clicking programs, and that's where you can research by specific programs. If you're interested in, I don't know, math or science, you would type those keywords in and then see what schools offer those programs. For me, what I've done here is I've searched up the keyword kinesiology, and I happen to have selected the Queen's University Kinesiology program. The image that you see on the left is the first tab. You'll see that there's 4 tabs there: overview, requirements, admission, and contact. The overview tab gives you the actual degree that you will earn: Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology, a BSc Kin. The OUAC program code is QK. So when you go to apply for this program, you would then need to know that code from the Ontario University's info website and input that into the OUAC website. The grade range that's required for admission consideration to Queen's University Kinesiology is 84% plus, is what they are saying. And the enrollment, they accept 155 people. So obviously, the lower that number, the enrollment number, the more competitive the program is. So some programs only have 50 spots, 80 spots. Other programs have hundreds and hundreds of spots. That's a good indicator to you of how competitive that program would be. If you click the Requirements tab, as you see on the right side of your screen, that would list the specific prerequisites that you would need in order to have admission consideration for this program. So you absolutely would need ENG4U, grade 12, university level English. you need to have biology, you need to have advanced functions, and you need to have 2 of the following 3 courses: calculus and vectors, chemistry, or physics. They are also saying 1 additional 4U or M course. And if you do the addition there, that would be your top 6 or 6 courses that would compile your admission average. They're saying 5 of them got to be those courses right there, and you can have some flexibility in what you want your 6 to be. If you click the admissions tab, this would be the fine print. So you can look at what the school's policy is on admission, general admission requirements, how they calculate that average. It would say what their policy perhaps is on failed or repeated courses, what their timing of giving out admission offers throughout the spring, how they make decisions, how they make alternative offers. If you are not given an offer to your initial program that you applied for, they might suggest here how they would come to the decision of giving you an alternate offer. That would all be in the fine print there. So when you know the program and you know that program code, you're going to have to go to the OUAC website and apply. In order to apply to university, you need your PIN and you need a credit card number. Your personal identification number will be mailed directly to your house this fall. The deadline, or I should say the timing of that, is listed on the timeline document that I mentioned earlier. And you also need the credit card number. The fee to apply to OUAC is $150, and you get 3 program choices. But each additional program choice that you want to add on top of that is an additional $50. Similar to colleges, Georgetown will send your transcript automatically to OUAC on your behalf multiple times throughout the school year, and you should be checking your OUAC account for the accuracy of that information. You are going to create your account at OUAC with your PIN. You're going to apply on that website, and you're going to press submit before January 15th, 2021. It is extremely important that you apply using the OUAC Undergrad 101 category. The Undergrad 101 category. Do not apply to the 105, the mature students, the adult students, and do not apply to law school or faculties of education for teachers. Apply to the 101 category, which would be your undergraduate degree programs. The general admission requirements for university acceptance is an Ontario Secondary School Diploma. That includes grade 12 University English, ENG 4U, plus five other 4U or M courses. Those additional 5 are specific to the program of study, and that's why it's important you check the Ontario University's website and the prerequisites tab to see what those prerequisites are. So this is often known as your top 6 grade 12 U or M courses. So to apply to university, you need your top 6 courses. Inclusive of those 6 would be any prerequisites that are needed for your specific program at your specific school. You need marks that meet the cutoff requirements, and Ontario University's info website is very clear about what the mark cutoffs are for consideration for each and every program in Ontario. Sometimes you'll need to add a portfolio, audition, resume, interview, or some additional supplementary information forms. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, I believe, in the frequently asked questions. It's important that you check the prerequisite courses and those mark cutoffs because they absolutely will vary by university program and university, I should say, and program. So for instance, the Queen's University Kinesiology has very, very specific courses that you need in order to get into that program at that school, but Western's kinesiology, McMaster's kinesiology, etc., might have different prerequisites that they would need instead. So it's important that you check those. Again, there's a link to the a comprehensive timeline for university applications, but effectively, between the months of October and November, all of your student information is continually uploaded to OUAC, including all your previously completed grade 11 courses. If you have completed any grade 12 courses in the summer or in your grade 11 year, all of those final grades would also be listed out on the OUAC website, and you would also will be sent your listing of course enrollments for this school year. So everything that you're currently sitting in our computer system for quadrimester 2, 3, and 4, that's all going to be sent. So they will know what you will be taking throughout the rest of the school year. By the end of November, your OUAC pins, as I mentioned, will be mailed to your house, and you need to make sure that when you take that pin and your credit card, you apply using Undergrad 101, like I had mentioned earlier. January 15th, 2021 is the latest date to submit your application for equal consideration, so it's important that you do that before. Again, we suggest during the winter break in December and January. May 27th is the last day that you will potentially receive a response from an Ontario university. And by that I mean you might have received a notification, good, bad, or otherwise, of your request to, or your application to that school. But May 27th would be the last day that you should hear from a school. That could be an admission, a refusal, or even a possible deferral pending more information that they need. June 1st, they also may require you to confirm acceptance and give financial payment. That could be to the deposit for the program, or even a deposit for residents, or often in early June as well. What happens if you don't get an offer of admission? That can happen, and it does happen, and that's okay. So don't panic, because places will continually open up at colleges and universities as the spring goes on. So colleges and universities have multiple rounds of considerations. They send out multiple rounds as they get more information, more data from schools across Ontario. They send out more offers as the year goes on. And even if the end of the season comes along and you don't have an offer of admission, that's okay, because there are a number of college and university programs that still will need enrollment and will need students in them for a September start. So OntarioColleges.ca and the OUAC website will post throughout July and post throughout August programs that still are accepting applicants, and you could also apply to those programs if you want. Late admissions, though, are quite possible, and it does happen every year that students get an admission to college or to university just before the start of the fall term. Even Labor Day weekend, I've heard of that happening just before it. So of course, by that point, course selection may have been limited, because that's often in the summer, and obviously residents may be limited as well, but it is possible. But it would be more advantageous for you to look at programs on the OUAC website and Ontario College's website for programs that are actively recruiting students over the summer. If you're going to be doing any summer school courses to upgrade marks, it's important that you inform the colleges and universities of what course you're taking and make sure that final mark is sent. If you're going to be looking outside of Ontario to other Canadian schools or even international schools, it's important to note that there is not a central application system like OUAC or OCAS for any out-of-province institutions. So each application form for each school is completely separate, and they will all have their own application fees. So you will need to go to each individual school's website and apply directly on their website, is typically what happens. You should also check the out of province or international student, if it is an international school, international student information, because they will have the most up-to-date information for admissions about any out of province or international applicants. However, if you are applying to an Ontario university and therefore applying through OUAC, and you are also applying to other Canadian universities, there are a number of Canadian universities outside of Ontario that have partnered with OUAC. So if you have an OUAC pin because you are applying in Ontario, and you are also applying to some schools in BC, Alberta, or out east, if you see a spot on the application that says OUAC number, you can put in your OUAC reference number or your OUAC number for you, and the schools will partner with OUAC to have your marks automatically sent. If you're applying on their website and that is not a feature, then you need to email Miss Petty, our guidance secretary, let her know that you are applying outside of the province, and you will need paper copies of transcripts either sent to you or sent to the school, whatever the school is requesting of you. For all out of province and all international schools, all of their deadlines will be completely different, and it's up to each individual school. So you're going to have to check the dates for those. So choosing the right school for you, there's a lot of things that you should consider. First and foremost, I think you should probably consider your program first. What is it that you actually want to study? that's likely more important to you than where you're going to be studying, because that's what you're going to be immersing yourself in for 3 or 4 years. So is your program even offered at your institution of interest? So I've had students that come to me and they want to go to Carleton, and they really, really want to be a teacher, and they want to go to concurrent education. And I say, okay, well, concurrent education isn't offered at Carleton. So you have to check that the actual program that you want is offered at the school that you want. So in this case, concurrent education is offered at the University of Ottawa. So if you want to be in Ottawa, then that is perhaps an alternate. But you have to make sure that the program that you're interested in is offered at the school that you want. So do your research there to ensure you know where your programs are offered. You should check the prerequisites that we have been talking about over the past couple of slides, because these do differ by institution. Similar programs at completely different schools will have completely different prerequisites. So make sure you've double checked those, and make sure you don't just meet the cutoff requirements. Those do differ by institution. Same programs at different schools will have different cutoffs, and often exceeding the admission averages is really what's needed, not just meeting it to actually gain an admission. Additional criteria. So another consideration, are you willing to put in the extra effort for supplemental information like supplemental application forms, portfolios, testing, resumes, personal information forms? Sometimes they're required at some colleges and some universities. Sometimes they're strongly recommended. And sometimes it's only for when you want to say something to the school. And I'll talk about that in the frequently asked question. The other considerations you might want to think about is size, location of the school. So what's the campus feel that suits who you are as a person, who you are as a student and learner? Do you want to attend a small town school, or do you prefer a large sprawling campus in the city? Do you want to stay at home? Do you want to drive? Do you want to live on campus? All these things are considerations for choosing an appropriate institution. Normally I would say go to the campuses and check them out and see what feels right for you. Most schools, of course, because of the year that we are in, are canceling many of their in-person things. But most campuses are doing digital tours on now, or you could check to see if they truly are doing in-person. So financial costs, it's always a hot topic. College costs, depending on where you're going, if you're staying at home, if you're going to residence, etc., it could be upwards of around $15,000 a year. You have your $95 fee. Tuition fees are range significantly from around $2,400 up to $7,000. I've even seen many more. Many programs that are much more than $7,000 as well. There will also often be student or incidental fees as part of your student union. Bus passes, all that is often inclusive of one fee that you also have to pay to the university. You'll have to pay for books and supplies. Accommodation, like a residence or apartment, can be anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000, plus food could be another $2,000. Utilities if you're off campus, or even if you are staying at home, you have to factor in vehicles, cars, and gas, and all that kind of stuff. So although it might say accommodation there, you can maybe translate that to car costs. Miscellaneous, groceries, incidental entertainment, all that kind of stuff. Just incidental coffees, it could be anywhere from, $2,000. But really for tuition fees, student fees, book supplies, accommodation, all those key updated data is available on the college calendars for the specific costing at each college program. For university, it's a little bit more. Tuition is typically around $7,500 on average. There are many programs that are far above that, and of course this is talking per year. Book supplies can run you anywhere up to $1,500. Residents tend to be a little bit more expensive, as they are inclusive of a meal plan at many universities. There are incidental fees, as I was talking about, bus passes and athletic fees that you often have to pay as a student, and then any miscellaneous fees, entertainment, personal costs as well. So that could be anywhere around $19,000. Again, consult the university calendars for their specific costing information for this upcoming school year. So the question invariably comes to how you're going to pay for all this. There are scholarships and awards. We have many that we know of available on our scholarships webpage from the guidance website. There are some of the cream of the crop national comprehensive scholarships. There's only a few of them in the country, but some of those do require nominations from the high school. They don't want every student in Ontario or across the country to apply. They want the school to nominate specific students, high achieving or students with really unique stories or experiences or leadership potential. So if you come across a scholarship that does require a nomination from the high school, we have a process here at the school. You need to ask me, Mr. Pursuti, for the Georgetown District High School Scholarship Nomination Form. That scholarship nomination form you will fill in, and your answers to that should reflect what the spirit of the scholarship. That form is due 14 days prior to the scholarship deadline back to me here in the guidance office. We will then, our scholarships and awards committee will then review all students that want to be nominated, review and then select our nominated students. So those are only for the very small a number of scholarships that require nominations. The vast majority, 99%, will be just direct pool. You directly become an applicant to their scholarship on your own without any cycling through of your high school. Of course, there are bursaries and grants and the Ontario Student Assistance Program, OSAP, which is a combination of loans and grants. So you can go to the OSAP website there to get more information. Obviously, students will probably have to contribute themselves, whether that's money that they have saved up, money that they've saved up from a part-time job that they're in now, or perhaps a part-time job that they get when they are at post-secondary. If there's any gifts that come your way as a student in the next couple of months, perhaps that's something that you keep in an account and you save for the upcoming costs for post-secondary. And one other thing you might want to consider is a student line of credit, which often have cheaper interest rates than OSAP does. So that's something that you might want to consider directly from the bank or financial institution. For those students with IEPs, you'll want to register with Accessibility Services. First and foremost, you want to speak with your CERT, your special education resource teacher here at Georgetown, about what your transition plan actually is for attending post-secondary. Now, once you accept an offer from a college or from a university, you should contact on your own the Accessibility Services office, I should say, and do that as quickly as you can. Typically, they want you to do this in the spring and summer so that they can get everything in line and your accommodations in line for the fall. You will likely need to meet with accessibility staff. Typically, that's in person. You know, that might change because of the life we're living these days. But you should bring your most updated IEP and any supplemental documentation, assessments, etc., that you can bring to support what your individualized plan should be. If you're going to an Ontario university, there's an excellent website called transitionresourceguide.ca that has lots of contact information for each accessibility services office at all the universities in Ontario, as well as key information you need to know about transitioning to post-secondary with an IEP. So last section, frequently asked questions. So I got 5 of them. First and foremost, we always get asked every year, early acceptances. So kind of a 2-pronged question. When are they sent? When are early acceptances sent and how are they determined? So our general answer to this is that not every school does early acceptances. Not every program sends out early acceptances. It is only a thing for some programs, not for everyone. These early acceptances are generally speaking offered to students because of 2 reasons. A, they are students with extraordinarily high final marks in grade 11 or any previously completed grade 12 courses, and the schools already have this information and they see extraordinarily high marks. Or B, early acceptances are often offered by schools that are actively recruiting more student enrollment. That's often schools that are outside of the GTA and that are often recruiting students to come to their institutions. Schools that offer early acceptances may use grade 11 final marks as a determining factor. They may look at the grade 11 marks, see that they're 95, 98%, and feel pretty strongly that those grade 12 marks will be similar. And if they give an offer to the student, that their grade 12 marks will be similar. So that is when, the situations that they may look for grade 11 marks. Of course, We don't exactly know how schools determine their admission, so how they determine their grade 11 marks is really up to them. What are supplemental application forms? Really, supplemental application forms are an opportunity for you as the student, the applicant, to provide some extra information about yourself that's non-academic based. You can talk about yourself in a form and submit that for consideration for an offer of admission. It would allow you to list extra things, as I said, non-academic things like skills, leadership opportunities, personal qualities. Perhaps you've gone through real tough times in high school. You've had some real tragedy in your life, or you faced some real adversity and you've shown real resilience, and you want that to be considered as part of your application. Then I would suggest filling in a supplemental application form. Not all schools have them, but there are many schools that suggest, recommend, or even require supplemental application forms for particular programs. If schools have them, they would be on their internal student portal. So once you apply to OUAC, as an example, to the Ontario University Application Centre, you would, in the coming days, receive an email from that school. Just as an example, York. So York might email you saying, thank you for your application. We will review it in the coming weeks and months. Here is the information for your internal portal, where you can check on the status of your application and you can get more detailed information about York and extra forms, residence, supplemental application forms. So it's going to be your job to log into that portal, download any necessary forms that you need as a prospective student or as a future student if you press accept. But these supplemental application forms are typically available on the internal portal for each school. You should submit these, if you're going to submit them at all. You would submit them after you have applied to OUAC. You would not submit them to OUAC themselves. You would submit them to the school directly. What's the general policy on repeated courses? Well, the answer is that most college diploma programs will accept the higher grade for any repeated attempt at a course. But of course, each school is different and has their own individual policy, so you have to review that on your own to double check. Many degree programs at college and university also accept the highest grade for any repeated courses. However, there are some programs and some schools that specifically state they do not accept them at all. That would be in the fine print, typically on that Ontario University's info website. This, of course, will differ school by school, even program by program within the same school. So you really have to check the program's fine print on their website, on the Ontario University's website, for the information for that specific program and their policy on repeated courses. What's the general policy on summer school? Well, for most colleges and university programs, all summer school grades are accepted. In the summer between your graduation from high school and post-secondary, really it's up to you to ensure that your summer school credits are accepted by the school and that a transcript is either uploaded to OUAC or the school itself. Generally speaking, the Gary Allen Summer School staff will always ask all of their grade 11 and 12 students, are you applying? Or have you applied? And do you need this have you applied to a post-secondary college or university? And do you need this mark sent to anywhere? It's going to be up to you as the student to fill out that form correctly with any address that you need that transcript mailed to, and make sure that you send it off or have the Gary Allen School send it off. Now, some universities do not accept any summer school courses in the summer between high school and university. McMaster University is one of those schools. They flat out say in their fine print that the school year is over at the end of June. It is the end of school. They will not accept any summer school courses in the summer between grade 12 and university. So that's one key thing to know about McMaster, and some other schools might be like that as well. Other schools and other programs, for example, Waterloo University, may ask students to list any course that they took outside of the regular school day. And it is up to that school's discretion on how they utilize that information regarding admissions. And we, as the public, don't really know how they do that. But that is not necessarily just the summer school in between grade 12 and the university, but it could be any summer school, any night school, any alternate course that you have taken outside of what they consider regular school day. Of course, it's up to you as the student to review the individual summer school policies for the schools that you're going to be applying to. And I think the last question here is, can I defer my acceptance until the next school year? This question is asked more often now because we're not really sure what the future holds for public health. But if you are admitted to a college or university and you wish to delay your studies for a year or more, really you just need to come up with an arrangement and an agreement with the school in question. They would then tell you any conditions that you have to start the program by a certain date, a year or 2 years later, or you lose your spot. And then some other schools would say that when you're ready to attend, you may actually have to reapply through OUAC or OCAS. So it's really, again, a school-by-school basis. So that's it for me. Just remember the important document on post-secondary pathways, the application timelines document. Really bookmark that document and use all of the dates on there to guide your research throughout the school year this year. Thank you again. This slideshow is posted on the Guidance Department website. If you have any questions, contact Ms. Mistruzzi if you're A to G throughout this quadmester, Ms. Tin for H to M, and myself, Mr. Pursuti, from N to Z. Thank you, and good luck with your applications.